Let's create glide and limberness within our lower back and our hips, balanced with a good measure of lumbar pelvic stability and a sense of inner togetherness. You could roll over your side onto your back, or you can do it with me. Hold on behind your knees, engage pelvic floor and abdominals, and slowly roll down vertebra by vertebra, establishing a supine position where you're centered in the pelvis and the spine. Have two balls either side, or use a towel if you prefer to underlay the pelvis. From here, tilt the pelvis backwards, engage pelvic floor and abdominals, let the lower back melt into the floor, and then peel off one vertebra at a time. Keep drawing the pubic bone towards the breastbone, draw the sit bones forward to the knees, and roll up to where the front of the ribs can gently stay closed from the inside. Take the balls or the towel, place it below the pelvis, and then slowly roll down until your sacrum is centered on the balls. From this centered position, you can bring the arms onto shoulder height, and you can just let the arms relax at shoulder height. Find the engagement of the pelvic floor and the deep abdominals. Engage them very subtly so that you can float your left leg into tabletop. Find that 90-degree angle for a moment. Keep the 90-degree angle and lower the leg down. The foot will probably land a little bit in front of the other foot. Then float your right leg into tabletop. Establish a 90-degree angle. With the 90-degree angle, lower this leg down as well, and both feet are probably a little bit further away from the sit bones with a 90-degree angle. So now, once more, connect to your deep pelvic floor muscles and abdominals and float that left leg up to that tabletop position. How much do you need to engage your center? Float it back down as you float the leg up and lower it. Switch legs. Right leg floats up and then you lower it back down. So really taking note of how much do you need to engage through the center. You want to be almost at that brink of instability. Float your left leg back up and then lower it back down again. One more time, floating the right leg up, sensing that deep inner togetherness, that deep stabilization through pelvic floor and the deep abdominals. We are adding on. Float your left leg back up. From tabletop position, bring your knee towards the chest. Let the pelvis follow, let the lower back follow. Feel that limberness that you can create. Move the knee over the hip joint again. Sense how this centers the pelvis and the lumbar, and then lower the leg back down. So deep stability as you float your right leg up. How much do you need to engage? And then let the knee come towards the chest. Let the pelvis follow, let the spine follow, creating glide and limberness. And then move the knee over the hip joint again. Therefore, the pelvis centers and the lumbar centers. Deep stabilization as the leg lowers back down. You float your left leg into tabletop again. In daily life, you need deep stability. You bring the knee towards the chest. You let the lower back and the pelvis, or the pelvis and the lower back, follow. You move the knee over the hip joint again. Find that deep stability, engaging just as much as is needed, and lower the leg back down. So floating that right leg back up, find that centeredness. Then moving from the knee comes towards the chest, the lumbar follows the pelvis. You feel that glide that you're creating and that limberness, and then you move the knee over the hip joint again. Lower the leg down once more. One last time. This is a beautiful exercise to have stability as you float the leg up, coupled with creating glide and more mobility that we need in the back. And then you center the pelvis again because the knee floats over the hip joint, and then you lower the leg back down. Once more, feel that deep stability as you float the right leg up. Feel the mobilization from the outside in. The knee comes to the chest, the pelvis tilts, the lumbar follows. The knee goes over the hip joint, the pelvis centers, the lumbar centers, and you integrate that deep stability again as the leg lowers down. Bring the feet closer towards you. Tilt the pelvis backwards and keep rolling up vertebra by vertebra just as high until you can take the props away. Remove the balls and then slowly roll down one vertebra at a time. Center yourself. If you did before roll up over the side, this is your choice again, or you hug one knee to the chest and then the other. Hold on behind the knees and then engage pelvic floor and abdominal strongly. Press the legs away, lifting the upper body and rolling forward. Bring the forehead close towards the knees, find your sit bones and roll up vertebra by vertebra. And I do hope this also gives you a sense of glide in the lower back and more limberness, as well as really having that sense of inner togetherness and dynamic stability from within.